Welcome to the Ascent podcast, a show about inspiring people who explain their path to achievement. I'm your host, Joe Burgess, Wealth Advisor at Moxie Wealth Management. Today on the show, we chat with Mandi Simon, who's currently a freshman at the University of Nebraska. At age 7, she founded her own nonprofit, Simon Says Give. We learn about her inspiration, how it developed, and ultimately, how Simon Says Give broke a Guinness World Record. Mandi, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so interested to hear about the organization that you started. Tell me about Simon Says Give.
So Simon Says Give is a nonprofit organization, and we help kids. We help celebrate their birthdays, and we also do backpack and school supplies in the summer as well. And we have a lot of different pillars to our organization. Now we have a lot of different chapters as well in 2 different states, which is really exciting for us. And our main focus is really just helping the kids in our community and in the world and helping them just be like who they are and just helping them be able to be that and be that carefree. So we started about, 10 years ago now. I was 7 turning 8. That would have been 11 years ago, but they weren't official till 10 years.
Not to interrupt, but you were 7 turning 8 when you decided you wanted to start a nonprofit.
Yeah, and it sounds crazy to me too. And I mean, it was totally crazy and bonkers, and I don't even know how my parents would have reacted, and I don't really remember how they reacted other than listening to me, but I had my heart set on helping kids in the community. I had no clue how to do that or where I could do that or anything, but I just knew I wanted to help kids, and I am really stubborn. And so I kept talking to my parents about it, and I think eventually they were kind of like, well, she's not going to give this up. So that was really amazing to have their support.
Was there an experience with a kid or a classmate? What inspired you, do you think, just out of the gates to decide that you wanted to do something for kids?
I think it's honestly a combination of a lot of different things. I have always just kind of grown up in always having a huge family and just knowing a lot of different people and knowing that people are from different backgrounds and different things. And my mom and I are both adopted, so I think being different in that sense as well was something that I always knew and always understood from a young age. So at the time, there was a tornado in, I believe it was Minneapolis, and there was also tsunamis going on in other parts of the world. And those combined really with the age that I was watching TV and the news and being able to see that on TV and the devastation and see what was happening, because I didn't understand what was happening other than what I could see. And what I could see was kids and people my age were in such displacement from their homes and their communities and their friends and the people they loved. And so I really was just touched by that.
So what was your recollection of, it sounds like you went to your mom and your dad maybe and said, here's what I'm thinking I want to do. What was their first reaction? Do you remember them just being immediately supportive to exploring the idea, or how did they react?
From what I can remember, it's such a blur.
Right.
But from what I remember, it was after dinner, and my mom was washing the dishes, and my dad was putting away the leftovers, and they were both in the kitchen, and I was sitting at the table, and I just kind of started talking about it and rambling about it. And I think I was talking about doing a car wash and the proceeds going to help kids in the community. And my mom was the one that stopped and helped me explain it. She was asking me all these different questions. She really listened to me, and nothing happened immediately. I think it kind of feels like it happened immediately, but it really did take a while of me being stubborn to just really be like, okay, like we're serious about this.
So when you decide then, you and your mom decide to start exploring this, had your mom at least had experience with nonprofits, or did she know how to go about creating this?
Yes and no. She is from the staffing industry and has been in the business community for 20 years before even I had mentioned any of this. So she knew a lot about the community and about business and how that all works. Nonprofit-wise, other than just donating and being involved, I don't think any of us really had any real idea of how a nonprofit actually functioned and worked. Mm-hmm. So I think it was a lot of her friends and just people in the community, because we had really no idea what we were even doing.
Right. Part of it's creating the entity itself, but I think even before you get there, I imagine that there's some part of research in understanding what the community needed. I mean, I imagine that there's lots of people who want to help, but then they're not fully aware of what organizations are already out there and what they're doing. So for you and your mom to take a lot of research to figure out where the gaps were and what you could do?
Yeah, so that was kind of our first steps, was asking around of even just like what is out there and what is something that we could get involved in. We were not looking to start anything at the beginning. We were just looking for something that I could get involved in and that we could get involved in as a family. And I think we didn't really find what we were looking for based on, I was really stubborn about being in person with people that were receiving the donations and the help, and I wanted to be able to meet those people. And not a lot of organizations have that face-to-face contact like that, and that was something I was super dead set on, and that was one of the main factors that was something that really made people that my mom talked to be like, you need to start something, because that is something that other people also want and also are looking for, but that there really seems not to be something like that already created.
Sure. So how did you settle then? It sounds like the first activities that you decided to go after was birthday parties for kids. Tell me how that came about.
So this kind of all started talking about my birthday. I have a summer birthday, and you know, the good old question of what do you want to do for your birthday? And knowing that like on the news and seeing that like all these kids had just gone through these natural disasters, something that they couldn't control, and that there is something out there that like they couldn't control, whether or not they would even be able to be asked that question, was something that I really thought about. And I really think that every kid deserves a few hours of worry-free fun. There's so much going on in life and everything is so busy, and COVID has obviously taught me that as well personally, but just being able to have like those few at least hours of just worry-free fun where like no one has to worry about anything was really something that I was really focused on.
So are the kids that you guys would throw parties for, are we saying families with financial hardship? Is that kind of the space? And if so, how are you going about finding the kids to celebrate?
So we support kids at the poverty line or below. And how we found our first birthday, the first kids that we celebrated their birthdays from, was actually through my school. I attended the visitation in Mendota Heights, and the sisters that are in North Minneapolis, they were one of the first people we talked to for guidance through this, because we knew they were connected into the community and they knew what the community needed. And we really just wanted their guidance in like what we should have, like what we should do and that kind of stuff. And Sister Catherine gave us a list of, I think it was like 12 kids, and their birthday was coming up. And she said these kids would all love to benefit from this and they would meet that criteria. And we that was really how we first found all of our birthday kids. And from there, like, it just grew. Like, once you're in a community and a community knows about you and the work that, like, we do, they just come to you, and we were able to just kind of meet some amazing people from this whole experience.
So where do the parties generally take place? And what's the process of throwing the party for the kid?
Yeah, so they changed a little bit over the years. We started out doing in-person at something local to the family, so like a community center or like a YMCA or something that was like easy in location for the family. And that was kind of where we started. And then we moved more towards birthdays in a box, which was all the supplies needed, like cake mix frosting, goodie bags, and we do a gift in need and a gift for fun for the child as well. And then that's kind of what we've been using just through COVID. That has been really amazing for us to be able to still continue to do that. So we've pretty much halted in person as of now, and we're still kind of thinking through of like what is going to happen and what the future is going to look like with that. But right now we're doing the birthdays in a box, and our families love them, and we have loved doing them because we're still able to support the families and be able to help them out even in these uncertain times.
Well, it was quite a while ago now, but do you happen to remember the first birthday party that you threw and how you felt when that was happening?
Yeah, so our first birthday boy was Ben. It was in April, and we were at a local community center. We showed up and we got ready, we decorated, and we were just super excited. We had met him and his family, and we just loved them so much. And when they got there, it was them, and then they had family from, I believe it was Iowa, that drove all the way in for his birthday just to like see him and celebrate with him and have this time together, which we really are told like wouldn't have happened without us helping supply that space and that time for them. And it was just amazing. And I just remember like running around with the kids, making friends and everything, and like hanging out with like Ben and like all these other people and like his siblings and being able to get to know them. But yeah, I definitely do remember that, and that has stayed with me for obviously like I think 11 years now.
So do you have any idea then how many birthday parties Simon Says Give has put on now?
I am not 100% sure. I honestly usually ask my mom. She is really good with numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think we average around a couple hundred a year for locally in the Twin Cities.
Got it. That's fantastic. Have there been people that you've thrown birthdays for that have gone on and become involved with Simon Says Give, or have been inspired to create maybe their own organizations to help other people in their communities?
Yeah, so that's an amazing question. And a lot of the people that we celebrate also come back and volunteer. So a lot of the people that we celebrate either with support with birthdays or backpacks and school supplies, they come back, and we see them a lot with our High Five for school supplies. Like that's usually a big in-person event. Past 2 years it has not been, which has been really a different change for our organization. But usually some of those volunteers are people that we do celebrate, and it has been amazing to be able to get to see them and to spend time with them because we know who they are. And a lot of our other volunteers, especially like our corporate volunteers, don't know who they are and don't know that that really does happen. So that's an amazing question. And yeah, I mean, they definitely do come back and they want to help their community as well. And yes, that's something actually quite common that we do see, which has been super amazing to get to see as well.
You just touched on High Five for school supplies. I know that was a second endeavor that your group had started. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that is our backpack and school supplies drive. So that got started about I want to say year 1 or 2 of us being a 501c3. And it really came to our attention through a board member that was like, hey, we should celebrate my birthday because it's in the summer and do something related to education, because that has been something that was needed at the time and still is needed in the community. So that's kind of where it got started. It started off with just asking for like donations locally from like friends, family. And then that eventually grew. And we ended up partnering with a lot of corporate donors as well as the Mall of America and partnering to do a Guinness World Record of most backpacks packed in under 8 hours.
I always find it interesting how many different things the Guinness Book of World Records has. So there was something established about how many backpacks of school supplies you can put together in a certain time frame, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you had something to shoot for. You guys do now hold the Guinness World Record, right? For what is it exactly? Like backpacks of school supplies packed in a certain time frame?
Yeah, it's I believe it is most backpacks packed in under 8 hours.
Got it. So is your name actually in the Guinness Book?
I am not sure if my name is, but I do know that Simon Says Give is.
That's fantastic. I did find on your website, I think, and it may not be up to date, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 backpacks have been given from your organization with school supplies.
Yeah, and that does sound about right over the years.
Wow, that's fantastic. We're going to take a brief pause here, Mandi, but after the break, I want to ask you a little bit about how Simon Says Give does their fundraising. Hey there, this is Joe. You know me as the host of this podcast, but did you know that I'm also the co-founder and president of Moxie Wealth Management, a boutique wealth management firm in Minneapolis, Minnesota? My team and I excel at taking complex family and business planning concepts and making our financial advice easy to understand. We recognize the trust that executives and families place in our team and value our role in helping our clients be intentional with their assets. When you partner with Moxie, my team and I focus on creating a plan that encompasses your financial goals and philanthropy, while also understanding how you want your wealth to impact your family and future generations. You can trust our unique expertise to build a thoughtful yet strategic wealth and legacy plan for your future. To learn more about me and my firm, send me an email at joe@moxiewealth.com. That's joe@moxie wealth.com. I'm a registered representative and investment advisor representative of Securian Financial Services, Inc. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Securian Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. North Star Resource Group is independently owned and operated. Moxie Wealth Management is affiliated with North Star Resource Group. We're back with Mandi Simon, founder and chief charity officer at Simon Says Give. And as we're profiling this charity, I did want to mention the website is simonsaysgive.org. So Mandi, back to what we were chatting about here. What is the process for your nonprofit when they go about fundraising?
We fundraise in a lot of different ways. So through the community, we do like Facebook fundraisers and things like that. We also have had over the years a lot of corporate donors as well. So going and talking to them and reaching out to them and seeing kind of what programs they have and like how they'd like to be connected. So a lot of different types of fundraising we do.
Well, and what I was thinking about, again, since you started when you were 7 or 8 years old, all the skills and potentially business skills that you've learned in the last 10 years. And so one of my thoughts when I was thinking about the fundraising was, are you going out to the corporations, or were you at some point in time, or is that something your mom handled or other members of the board, or how does that work?
A lot of the times it has been and still is me. A lot of times we've had people reach out to us and kind of been like, hey, I'd love to have a conversation with someone. And almost always it's the most common emails that we get are either to my mom or myself. So it's either one of us that are responding, but most of the time it is myself or my mom and I going to these companies and talking with them and talking through what they were interested in us for, like what drew their attention to us and how they could help us out with that stuff. So yeah, I've definitely done a lot of the fundraising and probably still will. It's still one of my favorite parts to be able to go share the story with other people.
Well, and I think it must be an amazing feeling to have made enough of an impact that now you have all these companies reaching out to you.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. A lot of the companies that have reached out to us have been these huge, wonderful companies that I would probably never have any idea about without them reaching out to us. And I've met so many different amazing people that have really just been awesome people to know and to be connected to through that as well.
Well, and one of the things I think I had read somewhere was at your organization, 98 cents for every dollar goes into the work that you do, meaning only 2 cents on the dollar is administrative overhead. Does that seem right?
That's about right, yeah.
That's, obviously extremely high, right, in the nonprofit world?
Yeah, I think on average it's usually flipped. It's usually around, I think, 20% go back out. But yeah, that's been one of our main focuses as well, has always been everything that comes in goes out and keeping that as low as possible.
What makes up the difference between, 80 cents on the dollar versus 98 cents on the dollar in your experience?
In my experience, it's been really the size of the organization is going to impact that. We are not as large as Catholic Charities and those kinds of things. We're very local, and as well as the volunteering, we have so many people that volunteer, and almost everything everyone does is volunteer. So for us personally, it is being local and in our community, as well as just the amazing people that volunteer their time and efforts.
Does your nonprofit then partner with other nonprofits?
So we partner with other nonprofits. High Five for Supplies specifically is our big thing that we partner with other nonprofits for, to be able to get those backpacks out into the community. We found it's the best way for us to do that and to be able to use our connections to the other people in our community and to be able to help serve them and to get those in the hands of the kids as fast as possible. We found that that's been kind of the best thing for us.
How many backpacks or sets of supplies for the kids is your organization trying to distribute every year?
Over the past 2 years, we've done around 4,000. Before COVID, it was higher, but with fundings and everything, that's what we have been able to do for the community, and it still has been received greatly with our nonprofit partners as well. So we're looking about next year sticking around that or a little bit more if we can get that funding back.
So I just kind of have a general question. When I think about what you did and, really your idea and how people around you have accepted and really acted on that idea, how does that make you feel? For me, somewhat it would seem almost overwhelming to have such support around you for what might have seemed like a crazy idea at the time.
It was definitely something that was new and kind of exciting at the time. I was meeting all these new people that I didn't really know before, and being able to meet those new people was amazing and everything. And I don't really think at the time I also fully understood who I was meeting and stuff. And like what their roles were.
Right.
I just was like, I'm just meeting someone else. Right. It has just been amazing. And I think it's also going back to like my mom and I also both being adopted and stuff, being able to be accepting of like our family is just huge. And I consider like some of my closest friends family too. And a lot of the people that I've been connected to over the years through Simon Says Give has also been considered like family.
So, Mandi, I know you're a freshman at the University of Nebraska. When you're done with college, do you think you'll be full-time with Simon Says Give, or do you think you'll be in the for-profit space? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not 100% sure where I'm headed, but I've definitely thought about going back, and I think I've had my heart set on still being involved. I don't know to what capacity that would be, but definitely being involved. I don't know if that's like the day-to-day or like what that's going to look like, but I've definitely decided that. And yeah, I mean, I am currently in business management is my major. So definitely in the business world. I don't know where that would take me eventually or where that was going to lead me, but that's kind of my plan for now, is definitely being involved, and kind of to what extent depends on what happens and where my college career takes me to.
I was curious because obviously it would seem that you were, in your words, stubborn and focused at a younger age. Are you somebody that, I don't know, has like a bucket list or have mapped out, here's 10 things or 20 things or 30 things that I really want to get done? Do you do that at all?
No, I don't. For being like as stubborn as I am, it really just is kind of like random things that'll happen. My mom and I and other people in our organization have always said like some of the best things that have happened to like us and for our organization have just been like randomly, like out of the whim, like we'll get a phone call from someone and like all of a sudden we have a new corporate donor, like, and all of this stuff. So I think it's been just step by step, whatever happens next, and being able to kind of obsess over those things as they come up.
What would you say to any person, really young or old, who is inspired or has a passion for something but is nervous and doesn't know how to go about it?
I think some of the best advice would be just to kind of look around in the community and at the other people that are in the community and what they're doing, whether or not that's what you want to do or not. I think some of the biggest things that we've learned and some of the biggest connections we still have to this day are from those early stages when we were just looking around trying to see like what nonprofits are really out there and what are they doing and what does that look like. So I think just talking to people, just kind of seeing, like what are people doing? How are they doing it? That kind of stuff can be so helpful. And maybe being able to like find something that like you're already super passionate about would be amazing. But if not, that might lead you somewhere else like it led us. So.
Well, Mandi, this has been a fantastic interview and really inspiring story. So thank you for sharing and thanks for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Mandi Simon, the founder of Simon Says Give. You can learn more about Simon Says Give and the work they do at simonsaysgive.org. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Ascent podcast, a show about inspiring people who explain their path to achievement. I'm your host, Joe Burgess, wealth advisor and founding partner of Moxie Wealth Management. You can learn more about me and my firm at moxiewealthmanagement.com. That's MOXIE wealthmanagement.com. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.